Hi there. Hey, this is Tony Barton,
And I'm Terri Rogers.
and we are at the Kansas GOP convention in Wichita, Kansas, and have had a pretty extraordinary day talking to a lot of individuals, whether they be politicians, activists, individuals who are involved in their community in some way. Angel had a really interesting story. That whole land deal is kind of
Yes, I'm going to need to do more
interesting.
research. How about
Yeah,
you?
well, I don't think I'm affected by it. I'm just looking at it going, this sounds kind of ominous here and strange.
We're all
So,
affected by government overreach. They want to rule our lives.
We have Kris Meteren here, and he is the principal of Singularis. And last year, came and did an interview with us,
Yes,
and it
thank
was
you.
really good. Really appreciate that. I was thinking prior to the convention, who do I want to spend time with and have talk? And I thought about you because of your involvement with campaigns across Kansas. And here we are in an election year. We're heading into midterms, what have you. What do you see, number one, going on politically? And then what do Republicans, conservatives need to do to win their seats or hold their seats?
Well, first of all, if we can't win in this environment,
Yeah.
we are doing something terribly wrong.
Oh,
Right.
man.
So the first thing I think we need to do is recruit. And it's probably an impossible dream, but I believe we need to recruit somebody to run against every incumbent Democrat on the ballot. From
Amen.
the
Amen.
courthouse to the state board or the local school boards already have been elected, but we need to find a candidate. We need to put up a challenge everywhere. I think some people will win just because of the outright anger that's out there toward the Democratic Party right now. Their brand is so damaged right now. We have an opportunity here we should not let pass by simply because we can't find candidates. We should. I remember back probably 20 years ago being in the Secretary of State's office as the filing deadline came to a close at noon on, I believe it was a Tuesday or something. And they were dragging in, literally they had an 18-year-old kid in painting clothes. He had paint all over that the Democrats were filing against one of our Republicans. The kid acted completely bewildered. But you know what? I'll take one. I'll take a candidate like that. I just want to see every Democrat get a challenge. Whether we win or not, that's to be determined, but we need to not let them have a pass. Second thing is we need to not step on our own messages and complicate what it is we're trying to communicate with people this year. The Democrats have done such an effective job of doing our job for us. The last thing we need is to overcomplicate our message with extraneous arguments that go on within the Republican family. We can save those until after we've won the election. That doesn't mean we don't speak out about issues. Obviously we do, but there is such an opportunity to draw a bright contrast, those not the pale pastels, but the bright colors that Ronald Reagan talked about between us and the Democrats. We need to get on our message, which is we are the party of liberty. We are the party of individual rights. The Democrats have proven, for all their claims to be the party of fun, the party of anything goes, boy, did their colors come out in this pandemic.
Vividly.
I mean, they're like the Saturday Night Live church lady, really. I mean, standing around telling you what you can and can't do.
Yes.
And so it is our opportunity to convince the voters that we are actually the party of individual liberty, the actual party of freedom that protects things like religious liberty and that sort of thing. So I just think we need to stay on message. Republicans are sort of notorious for snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. We need to not do that this time. Doesn't mean we're not going to have a few primary challenges here and there. And I have always thought primaries are healthy in general, as long as they don't get too personally ugly. And then, conserve our resources and go after the Democrats in the fall, and we should win in a walk.
And it appears that's what we're looking at. That's what we're seeing here, because the message on the side has been so horrible. I mean, if they can't see a contrast between conservatives and Democrats, Republicans and Democrats now, I don't know when.
Right.
I mean, because it's just, you're right, they just and continue to do damage to themselves. And I think also too, we're talking, I don't know which interview, but we're talking about how the emotional state of the nation right now. People are hurting.
Yes.
Whether it's the economy, whether it's stuff that's happening in school, the things that are being taught to young kids. I mean, there's a whole variety of things where you're right. They should be walking in. I mean, we should see the floodgates open and people walking in to vote in people who are going to do right by them versus what we've had happen, and watching the Democrat Party just destroy not only destroy from without, but destroy from within. So
It's been remarkable to me to watch the Democrats this time around. In the past, they would get bad polling information back, and now you're starting to see a little bit of walking back. But there has been this absolute stubborn refusal to reconsider their position. And they are just doubling down.
They are.
And to what would you attribute that? It's odd. It doesn't make sense.
I don't know if it's fear amongst the older generations of Democrats that would have walked it back in cycles past, fear of the AOC crowd and the new progressive wing of the party, or if they've just gone all in with this Marxist philosophy and they truly believe that it's going to work somehow. But I've just been amazed to watch, normally they would pull back, normally they would adjust course, they would do a little triangulation, as Bill Clinton called it.
They have in one area, and that is defunding the police. If you notice,
That's true.
they're starting to walk back the defund the police to where we need to fund police. So in that respect, and to me, it's just this. It's nothing real.
Right.
They're just looking at, oh, crud. People are really needing law enforcement in their community. So us saying to defund them, we need to reverse that and change that message.
Right.
Didn't they try to blame it on Republicans? That it was ours?
I'm
if they
sure.
did, I would.
I'm sure.
It's just mind-boggling. Well, I hope, I'm really hoping, and I try to be really optimistic. When I look at culture today, when I look at the state of the union today, I would have never, ever thought we'd ever be back in the place we're in right now. It just seems so, and you're asking what may be the reason. I think it's a combination of all of that. I think there is fear. I think there is this idea to double down because we can do socialism right. I think there's that combination of things going, and people who are intimidated that don't want to necessarily speak up because you can get canceled or what have you.
Right.
But the whole thing, comes down to getting the right people in office who are going to be courageous enough to combat all of that stuff and do right by the people.
Yes.
And the one last thing I would say is I think it's important for Republicans to draw a bright contrast between themselves and the Democrats. And it concerns me a lot when I see Republicans, and it's going to sound a little critical of President Trump, but embracing Keynesian economics, which is let's flood the marketplace with government money and hope that it works out. I get a little worried about that. I'm like, man, you know what? Free market capitalism does work. It's the real answer. And inflation is largely, we can lay at the feet of Joe Biden, but it kind of started under Trump too. And so we need to be careful to stay true to our principles, which is limited government, which is free market capitalism, and not fall into the trap of saying, well, us too, just a little bit less.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know if you heard this, I think it was yesterday or the day before, Biden came out and said that it's Putin's fault, that our economy is in the place that it's in right now. With all this it's Putin.
I see
Hashtag.
it.
Yeah.
It's always the
So the funny thing I heard about that was Dana Perino, who's a former White House communications press secretary. She said, I would just add that, hashtags like so yesterday, nobody even uses hashtags anymore. so not only are they blaming Putin, they can't even get it right in the way they do it.
I thought it was awesome. I mean, in just all the weirdest ways. It's Putin's fault. We're just going to blame him for everything. It's like, and people will believe it. That's the thing, people will believe it.
That's the thing that concerns me a little bit is that we are far enough out from the election, but now that they've obviously dropped COVID as a
where'd COVID go?
Where's 5G?
Behind the background somewhere hiding?
It's like, will people remember in November how draconian these shutdowns were, these mandates, these vaccine mandates and so on? I hope so.
Do you think they need to be reminded or as part of messaging, what it was and what we went through so that we don't necessarily have to go through that again? I mean,
It's just such an avalanche of bad ideas from the Democrats. You can't keep up with responding to them.
That is very true. That's very true.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate your insight, and let's hope what you're saying comes about. We kind of agree. We'd like to see our people win and get this whole country back on track into a better place. So thank you, Kris, for being part of being courageous today. And for you out there, I hope that you pick up something out of this and understand the importance of the message and what needs to happen so that our people not only win, but for our families, for our friends, our communities, we can get back on track. So God bless you. And until next time, be courageous.